Hello everyone, this is Ben with Bathroom Brews MTG. Today, I'm bringing you my Lost Caverns of Ixalan commander ranking. As always, I'm going to be ranking these commanders on how fun I think they are, not power level, so obviously our opinions will vary, and I'll be covering all of the new legendaries from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, the commander set, and the Jurassic Park set. There is one pair of partners in the deck, and I will be covering them as partners, not as individual cards. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. First up was Abuelo Ancestral Echo. This is a 3-mana 2/2 legendary creature spirit flying on Ward 2, and you can pay 1 in Azorius, so 1 white-blue, to exile another target creature or artifact you control. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. I'm not really a fan of this card. I think in the 99 it'll be great, but as a commander, it's just not very fun for me. It's not Flicker, it's Blink, which is slow. I think that's how it's named. Anyways, yeah, it's just not that good as a commander, I don't think. I give better options and even like more fun options. So yeah, that's it for that one. Next up is Axolotl Deepest Betrayal. This is a 5-mana 4/4 legendary creature bat god, has flying and lifelink, and whenever it attacks, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. Then whenever an opponent discards a land card, you create a 1/1 bat creature token with flying, and then when it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped and transformed under its owner's control. And it comes in as Temple of the Dead, which is a land that taps for a black, and then you can pay 2 in a black, tap it, transform it, activate only if a player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, and only as a sorcery. Honestly, I'm not really a fan of this card. It reminds me of like Tiny Bones or Turgid. It doesn't seem like a fun commander. In the 99, it could be fun in like an Ishin deck where you're doubling up on that discard trigger. I personally don't like making opponents discard cards. I feel like it's worse. I think it's worse than having people get countered or having their stuff removed. And I think people feel worse about it because they didn't even get the chance to play it. They just kind of lost it. If you disagree with me, let me know. And if my voice cracks at all, I'm still getting over the flu, so bear with me. Next up is Admiral Brass Unsinkable. This is a 5-mana 3/3 Grixis legendary creature human pirate. When they enter the battlefield, you mill 4. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may return target pirate creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. It has base power and toughness 4/4, and it gains haste until end of turn. So finality counters say if a creature would die, it exiles instead. So we can remove these counters by like blinking them with either Ghostly Flicker, or just any flicker effect really. And what's really interesting is actually because it's a counter, if you have the Oozolith, you can put these finality counters on the Oozolith, and then use the Oozolith to move those counters from the Oozolith to your opponent's creatures. So that's something that you can try to do. I don't know if it's good, but it is cute. This seems like a really fun commander, and it's one of the pre-con commanders, so obviously it's should be pretty fun. I don't know if I want to build it or not, but I'm going to put it at the top end. It's mill and it's pirate reanimation. I'm going to put that at fun, I think. I don't know if that's very fun for me. I have a lot of reanimation decks, but they're usually the Golgari variety, so that could just be my personal bias. But yeah, I'm going to put it under fun here. Next up is Pakal, First Among Equals. This is a 3-mana 1/5 legendary creature human advisor. At the beginning of each player's end step, an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So at the beginning of each player's end step, so you can look at potentially 8 cards a turn cycle, but it's at the end step, get an artifact enter under your control. So it's not, this would be great with Smothering Tithe, but it's blue, not white, or it doesn't even have white in it. So as a commander, I think this is cool, but it's just like a card advantage engine in blue, and I think you have better commanders for that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this commander, I'm going to put them under not fun. I don't think this is a fun commander. I think in the 99 it's great. Like in a Gimbal deck and the new Urza, or the old border Urza, the one that makes constructs at the beginning of each of your end steps. Oh, but that's at the beginning. I don't know where you put this. It seems fine. It's not fun as a commander though. So moving along. Next up is a Kawali, the Seething Tower. This is a 3-mana 3/3 legendary creature fungus. It has Descent 4. So as long as there are 4 more permanent cards in your graveyard, it gets +2/+2 and trample. And then it has Descend 8. And then it'll get +2/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So as a Pauper commander, I like this. As a regular commander, I think you can do a lot better in Golgari. It seems like it could be a cool like Voltron commander maybe. but I'm not really feeling it. Where is it on this list? Here it is. I'm gonna put it under kind of fun. It's Golgari Beats, and I'm a lover of Golgari, so we're gonna put it just kind of fun just by default, but that's my own personal bias, so just be aware of that. Next up is Amila Benav Airi. I'm pronouncing that super wrong, and I already am pretty sick, so forgive me. It's a 2-mana 2/2 legendary creature Vampire Scout. It is ward, pay 3 life. Whenever you gain life, it explores and then destroy all creatures if its power is exactly 20. I actually love life gain decks, and I've been wanting to build one, and I'm so sorry if you can hear crinkling. My cat is trying to get comfortable under my desk right now. I'm going to put this and want to build. It may come down later. I just want a new life gain commander, and I like you can explore, like life gain and explore. Seems like a really interesting way of doing that, especially as doing it some sort of like black-white reanimator, because you can put creatures into your graveyard this way. And it's only a 2-mana creature with a ward of pay 3 life, so the ward cost isn't prohibitive, but later in the game it can get like very expensive, and it's a 2-mana commander, so the commander tax isn't even that bad. Next up is Unb Ben, Thousandth Moon. It's a 3-mana 1/2 legendary creature human soldier. Whenever you attack with one or more non-gnome creatures, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then you create X/1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of counters on it. So this reminds me of like Krenko Tin Street Kingpin that makes goblins. It's not quite as good as Krenko because we don't have that many gnome synergies compared to goblin synergies. We don't have original Krenko for gnomes. And this cares about the counters on it, not the power of our Krenko. If you double its power, you can make a lot more goblins. Oh god, this was a mistake. I'm already losing my voice. It's fine. This commander seems actually pretty fun. It's like a Boros gnome commander. Attack with one or more non-gnome creatures, you put a counter on it. So you have to attack with... so if you attack with just this, but it doesn't even have to be this. They have to be non-gnomes. It's like some Boros counter deck. I'll put that under kind of fun, I think. I don't know if I'm going to build it. It seems like, again, in Ishin, this seems like this would be a really good commander. And I think overall, I'm actually really happy with how Wizards has been doing the adding attack triggers to commanders as a way of balancing them, so you have powerful effects that aren't just they sitting on the board doing nothing, like Eminence. Well, Eminence is in the command zone, but you get the point. That's another conversation, though. If you want a video on that, let me know in the comments. All right. Next up is Bartholome del Prado. It's a 2-mana 2/1 vampire legendary creature vampire knight. Sack another creature artifact, put a counter on him. Seems fine. It's a sack outlet. In PEDH, I think I really like this, but in regular commander, it's a sack outlet in the command zone at 2 mana and 2 colors. This means you can build a Lurrus commander, and you can also build one with Amelia. Let me know, actually, too, if you want a Lurrus companion deck with one of these 2 commanders, now that we can do that. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this under... I like sacrifice decks, but I'm going to put it at the tail end of not fun. It's just a sack outlet in the command zone. Like, it's fine. All right, so next up is Blue Loyal Raptor, which partners with Owen Grady, Raptor Trainer. So Blue is a 2 and a Simic for a legendary creature dinosaur, so a 5-mana 5/4 partner with, and then for each kind of counter on Blue, each other dinosaur you control enters the battlefield with that kind of counter on it. And then let me pull up Grady here. Owen Grady is a 3-mana 3/2, it's 1 and a Gruul, legendary creature human soldier scientist. Is partner with Blue, and you can tap and put a choice of Menace, Trample, Reach, or Haste counter on target dinosaur. Activate only as a sorcery. So basically have Owen, and then you play Blue, and then you tap Owen to put counters on Blue, and then other dinosaurs will get counters that Blue has when they enter. It's Teamer. It's like a worse Halden and Paco, kind of. That'd be a sweet altar for them, wouldn't it? The deck would just be better. Anyways, yeah, this is Teamer dinos. You lose white, which means you do lose some really good dinos like Zatalpa, which I think we need some more printings of. This is fine. It is each counter, each kind of counter on it. So yes, if you put a bunch of counters, you only get one of them. So it's not like you can grow Blue and put a bunch of counters on it, like a bunch of the same counters, so like +1/+1 counters, and get a lot more of those counters on other dinosaurs. This honestly seems like it could be very fun. I'm going to put this in very fun. That's not the artwork. Where is the artwork for this? This is scuffed. There it is. We'll put them like there. All right, next up is Breach's Eager Pillager. This is a 3-mana 3/3 legendary creature goblin pirate with first strike. Whenever a pirate you control attacks, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Create a treasure token. Target creature can't block this turn. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. So we have Breach. The original Breaches was the original Commander Legends, which had partner. I like this commander. This is an interesting pirate commander. Again, I think it's better in the 99 most of the time. Yeah, I think this is better in the 99 of decks. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in kind of fun. Could be a fun mono-red Pirates commander if you don't want like Ragavan, but you want another Goblin Pirate. Next up is Kaparasati, Sunborn. It's a 4-mana 4/4 legendary creature human soldier. Whenever it attacks, you may tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. If you do, discover 3. Oh, that actually seems really cool. So you have to tap 2 things, 2 untapped artifacts or creatures you control. Then you get to just cascade, well, discover 3, which is better cascade. In a Boros commander, this is like an extra combats deck. That seems pretty fun. I'm going to put that at fun. I don't know if I'm going to build it. Probably not, but that seems really fun. Just being able to like cascade each turn whenever you attack. Listen, Mazavith stocks are going up. Pick up a Mazavith, and pick up Labyrinth, and then pick up Thematic Compass. So you could have 3 Mazaviths in your deck. And 2 of them are actual lands, and 1 of them is just Mazavith. Also fogs. Get so many fogs. Okay. Next up, Captain Storm, Cosmium Raider. This is a 2-mana 2/2 legendary creature, human pirate. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target pirate you control. Yeah, this is seems like a fun, just weird Storm commander. I want to build this for Pauper EDH. And I guess I should mention, I will be doing a Pauper EDH list for this too, for all the uncommons in the set. And I will be going over these commanders again, but ranking them for Pauper EDH. So be on the lookout for that in the next few days. It'll probably be next week, actually, because I'm going away for a wedding. Anyways, this, in regular EDH, it's kind of linear. I don't think there's really like a CEDH reason to play this. I'm going to put it at kind of fun just because artifacts and pirates seem cool if you build like a dedicated pirate deck. But you could also just build this as Is It Storm and like fling it or Chandra's Ignition. But it's only kind of fun for me. Next up is Carmen, Cruel Sky Monarch. This is a 5-mana 2/2 legendary creature vampire soldier with flying. Whenever a player sacks a permanent, you put a counter on it and then you gain a life. And then whenever it attacks, turn up to 1 target permanent card with mana value less than or equal to Carmen's power from the graveyard to the battlefield. So this is actually a really good budget commander, and I'm kind of interested in building this. So the reason why I'm thinking about that is you can get Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Myriad Landscape, all these lands that you can sacrifice for like effects to put counters and gain life. And then whenever it attacks, you can just return those to your battlefield, so you can essentially ramp. Even non-budget, if you have fetches or Lotus Petal or any eggs, just something like that where you can sacrifice them and then just get them back. This is a really easy way just to kind of ramp in Orzhov. So like an Orzhov landfall deck might be really cool with this. And Zurin Orb. Oh yeah, there's something here. I might build that. I might build White-Black Landfall. Next up is Calvino, First of the Blessed. It's a 3-mana 2/2 legendary creature vampire cleric. Whenever you attack, target attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon in addition to its other types. It gains when this creature dies. Draw a card and create a tapped 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. This is fine. This doesn't really do it for me. You make vampire demons, which is cool, I guess. But this really just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't seem that interesting. Like, I don't know. I think there are more interesting commanders. I'm gonna put that at not fun. It's whatever. Next up is Don Andress, the Renegade. This is a 4-mana 4/3 legendary creature vampire pirate. Each creature you control but don't own gets +2/+2 and has menace and death touch, and is a pirate in addition to its other types. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell you don't own, create 2 tapped treasure tokens. I'm glad they're having treasures come into play tapped. I kind of wish they would have routed treasures to always come into play tapped, but I feel like that might be too big of a nerf. That's another conversation. As for this seems like an interesting commander, actually. I'm going to put this under very fun. It reminds me of like Zen Triplets, but you're trying to steal everything, but it's also a pirate. I know people don't like theft decks, but I really don't care because I think this is a great way to like play a budget deck. Matches the power level up the table because you're playing with other people's cards. Next up is Ellie and Alan Paleontologist. This is a 5 mana 2/5 legendary creature human scientist. With tap, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Discover X, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. This is ban Discover? I haven't looked at half these cards yet. So some of these are real new to me. This is a weird card. It's like Bant Self-Mill, and then you just rip into big things. I don't know what you do with this. It seems fun, though. I'm going to put this at very fun. I don't know if I want to build a Bant, just like a Bant Discover deck, but I'm not opposed to it. Next up is Francisco F Marauder. This is a 2-mana 0/1 bird pirate. Flying, can't block. Whenever one or more pirates you control deal damage to a player, it explores, and it is partner. This is my favorite card of the entire set. This is my favorite commander. I didn't even know this existed. I love him so much. He's the goodest boy. I'm building this. This partner, I'm building this. This is being built. I don't know what colors. It's black something. I don't know. I'm building this commander. How can you not? Look at it. Look how cute it is. God, I love it so much. Oh, my bird. Okay, moving on. Next up is Galta Stampede Tyrant. This is an 8-mana 12/12 legendary creature Elder Dino with trample. When it enters the battlefield, put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay, so this is going to be fun. It's mono green, like Elvish Piper kind of. But it's an ETB, not a cast trigger, so if you blink this, you just get to put creatures into play. I think this will be a cool commander. Once. It's going under kind of fun. I think in the 99, it's interesting. I think like in Adamia the Stone Sage, you could do it because you can play this, like refill your hand, so you always have like a full group of cards and like full group of creatures to play. But as for a commander, I think you cast this once, you drop your hand, and then someone just farewells you. And it's like, oh. Or they're like, hey, cool, Fog, kill him. So yeah, it's going kind of fun. Next up is Hackball of the Surging Soul. It's a 4-mana 3/3 legendary creature Merfolk Scout. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each Merfolk creature you control explores. And then whenever it attacks, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield if you don't draw a card. Oh, this is like a go-wide Merfolk commander. This is the Precon one, right? Yeah. That seems really fun. I kind of want to build a budget Merfolk Explore deck. It's in the Precon. I've liked a lot of the Precon commanders so far. Yeah, it's a cool Merfolk commander. It wants you to go wide and you explore a whole bunch. So even if you like have something on top you want, you just grow your entire Merfolk board. Like, it's great. Each Merfolk. And it's each Merfolk, not non-token, which means you can Deep-Root Waters, that enchantment that whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you make a 1/1. Selections of Lajara. Anything to get like token copies of Merfolks or great Rite of Replication. Seems like a really good Merfolk deck. Commander. Oh, obviously it's in the helm of the deck, but still, I want it. Next up is Henry Wu, InGen Geneticist. Yes, that seems right. It's Sultai, so 3 mana for a legendary creature human scientist, a 1/4. It and other humans you control of exploit. Okay, whenever a creature you control exploits a non-human creature, draw a card. If the exploited creature had power 3 or greater, create a treasure. This is like a weird Sultai Winota, where it cares about both humans and non-humans, right? So it's humans have exploit, and then whenever you exploit a non-human creature, you draw a card. So whenever a creature with exploit enters the battlefield, you may sack a creature. Yeah, it's weird. So I guess you want humans that come in and make non-human tokens, or because it's not non-token humans, it's just other humans. So if you have tokens that make, like, there's the dinosaur one it's in red, so you can't do it here, where it makes like a human and then it makes a dinosaur or like a beast or whatever. You can like sack the beast, the human entering the battlefield and then drawing a card, and then maybe make a treasure token. This is great with like those Phyrexian Dreadmaw, is it? Dreadnought. The like 1 mana 12 where it's like you can play it, just exploit it to itself. Although I don't know if, or exploit, oh no, but it triggers on the stack, so you have to get a human at the same time. This is weird. This is a weird Sultai value commander, like humans and non-humans. I'm intrigued by this. I'm gonna put this under fun. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but it seems like it could be pretty fun. Some weird Kindred style deck. Next up is Huatli, Poet of Unity. This is a 3-mana 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You can pay 3 and 2 Boros, so 3 red-white hybrid, red-white hybrid. Exile it and return it to the battlefield transformed under your owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery. The backside of that card is a saga, which I am pulling up now because I am prepared. It's Roar of the Fifth People. It's a saga. So first one is you create 2 3/3 green dinosaur creature tokens. The second is creatures you control have add tap, add Naya, so red, green, or white. Then you search your library for a dinosaur card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And then dinosaurs you control gain double strike and trample until end of turn. And then you just sacrifice the saga. So you flip it and you lose the commander. I'm not into that as a commander. No. I mean, I'm gonna put her kind of here. If you can do some sort of like weird Naya Saga deck with her where you keep her flipped as long as possible and just keep moving the counters up and down, she could be an interesting Saga commander that isn't Tom Bombadil. Because you gotta just keep making like dinosaurs and stuff. I'm intrigued by this. I think you could do something fun with it. Next up is Ian Malcolm, Chaotician? Chaotician? Sure. The 3-mana 2/2 legendary creature human scientist. Whenever a player draws their second card each turn, that player exiles the top card of their library. During each player's turn, that player may cast a spell from among cards they don't own exiled with Ian, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. This is weird. So during each player's turn, that player may cast any spells. So whenever people exile cards, you can just cast stuff exiled with this part. Seems fun. That seems really fun. Just force people to wheel, and then but everyone can like play each other's cards and spend mana as though as mana of any type. It seems like a wild thing. I love this. This seems really fun. It might be fun for like one game, but we might move that up to want to build. Next up is Indominus Rex Alpha. This is a 5-mana 6/6 legendary creature dinosaur mutant. ETBs discard any number of creature cards. It enters with a flying counter on it if the discarded card is flying this way. Same thing is true. First strike, double strike, death touch, hexproof, haste, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance. ETBs draw a card for each counter on it. Yeah, this seems like a pretty fun commander. I don't know how you're supposed to win with it, is kind of my biggest issue. Other than like beating face. Yeah, I think like beating face is like the only way I can really think of like how you want to win with this commander, which is fine. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like you can give it haste, double strike, and then if you put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it and draw a bunch of cards. Also seems like a really good combo commander because you do draw cards for each counter on it. So if you have a Doubling Season, Branching Evolution just got reprinted, Doubling Season just got reprinted a whole bunch, Primal Vigor, Pier also does it. There's a lot of ways to get but just a bunch of extra counters on this to draw a bunch of cards when it ETBs. Seems fine. I'd probably want to build it as like a weird combo Thassa deck, maybe as like a not CDH, but like high powered. Next up, Isenor Raptor, the perfect hybrid. This is a Jund, so 1 hybrid Golgari and red for a legendary creature dinosaur mutant. Has Bloodthirst X. This creature enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the damage dealt to your opponents this turn. Okay, so it's like Rakdos. Well, cares about damage dealt to opponents, which is sick. Has Menace and then Enrage. So whenever it's dealt damage, you choose an opponent at random. Deals damage equal to its power to that player unless they sack a non-token creature. So this is like a Jund Group Slug, Voltron, Dinosaur, Enrage commander. I don't know if I'm going to build this. I'm going to put it here because you get access to Pyrohemia and the black one, which I don't remember what it's called. There's like the color shifted version of it. You get access to both of those in Jund, compared to like Naya. You get Tezamok, so there's not a lot of black dinos, but you can get some. Yeah, I think this is an interesting Jund commander. This is a more interesting Jund commander to me than most Jund commanders. I think Henzi being the exception. Next up is Inti, Seething of the Sun. Yeah, close enough. It's a 2-mana 2/2 legendary creature, human knight. Whenever you attack, you may discard a card. When you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature against trample until end of turn. Fine. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until your next end step. It doesn't seem like an exciting commander. Cool in the 99 of some decks. Like, I definitely want to put this in decks, but I don't want to play this as my commander. Not much else to say. It's fine. Next up is Itzaquin, Firstborn of Gishath. It's a 2-mana, 2/3 legendary creature human dino with haste. When it ETBs, you may pay 2. When you do, target dino you control deals damage to its power to another target creature. As a commander, not very excited to build this in regular commander, but it is the cutest dino I've ever seen. But it's still going at the bottom of the pot. It's just not, I don't think it's a great commander. Great in the 99 though. Absolutely great in the 99. Next up is Kellen, Daring Traveler. It's a 2-mana, 2/3 legendary creature human fairy scout. And it's an adventure. So the adventure is you can pay a green to journey on. Create X map tokens where X is 1 plus the number of opponents who control an artifact. And then for 1 and a white, it's normal casting cost. Whenever it attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card with mana value 3 or less, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard. So it's some weird Explorer-esque effect, but isn't actually Explorer, because if it's not a creature, you don't put it in your hand, unlike it's a land. This doesn't seem very fun for me. Maybe I'm just a boomer, but I feel like 1 green to make a bunch of maps doesn't really excite me, and this effect doesn't seem good. I don't know. Which is, I think, fine. Let me be very clear. I think that's fine. I don't think every legendary creature in Magic has to be made for Commander, and I'm actually really happy that there aren't a ton of super interesting commanders in this set. Next up is Kutzul Malamet Exemplar. It's a 3-mana, 3/3 legendary creature cat warrior. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Then whenever 1 or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. I like this a lot. I'm going to put this under very fun. It's going to go like here, I think. Yeah, so I like this for a couple reasons. First, it's a great way to protect your beat strategies because people can't fog during your turn now. Listen, MTG Goldfish has been saying it. I'm saying it. Fog meta. All right, I got a bunch of fogs and a bunch of decks. They've been doing work. People can't fog with this. And it's card draw in the command zone. And I'll be talking about this when I go over my PDH commander list, like I said. I think this is a great commander, though. Next up is Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel. It's a 2-mana, 2/1 legendary creature, Siren Pirate, Flash Flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a chorus counter on it, draw a card, then discard a card. There are 4 more chorus counters on it. You may cast the discarded card without paying its mana cost. This seems like an interesting commander. It comes down early, needs to beat players, and you put counters on it. It doesn't matter how much damage it deals, just so long as it deals some combat damage. So you might not even want to necessarily suit this up. Honestly, if you can find a way of nerfing its power just a little bit, that way people will still get hit for 1 damage and they're not as worried about commander damage. And if you can proliferate the counters on them, then you can just immediately get a bunch of value. I like this a lot. I'm going to put this under kind of fun with breaches. I think these are great in the 99 of commander decks. I don't know how they're going to be as their own commanders. Next up is Nick and Zal, Current Conductor. It's a 2-mana, 2/3 legendary creature, Merfolk Scout. Whenever a creature you control explores a land card, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature you control explores a non-land card, you put a counter on this card. I like this a lot. This is a really cool Explore commander. I'd have to look at how many cards we actually have that have Explore that we can put into a single deck. I'm going to put this under fun. I've been looking for a shuffleless landfall commander, so we have Gadriel is one of them, and this is another one where we can just explore enough. And obviously this is great in the 99 of that other Merfolk commander we talked about. Next up is Oger, Axolotl Deepest Might. It's a 4-mana, 4/4 legendary creature god with trample. If a red source you control would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than its power to an opponent, that source deals damage equal to its power instead. When it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped, transformed under its owner's control. So when it flips, it becomes the Temple of Power. It's a land that taps red. Then you pay 2 and a red to transform it. Activate only if red sources you control dealt 4 more non-combat damage this turn, and only as a sorcery. So this seems like a fun mono red slug commander. There's a lot of red commanders that do this already, and you really want to suit this up. I'm gonna put this under kind of fun with Neheb or Red Ritual, so you can put a bunch of equipment on this. It's really good. So shocks and pyrohemias, pyroclasms, and whatever deal a bunch of damage. But other than that, I think it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of mono red group slug commanders, and this one is just feels like another one for me. It doesn't feel like it does anything interesting. Soulfeme is another one like that, where it's Cool. This could be a Dragon's Approach commander, or if you can get this power up high enough and you start Dragon's Approaching people out with like, maybe, but I don't know. It's fine. All right, next up is Ogier Caslem, Deepest Growth. It's a 5 mana 6/5 legendary creature god. As trample, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of the library. You may put a creature card and or a land card from among them onto the battlefield, with the rest in the bottom in a random order. When it dies, return to the battlefield. So the land is the Temple of Cultivation. Taps for a green, 2 and a green. Transform it only if you control 10 or more permanents and only as a sorcery. That flip condition should be pretty straightforward because you're going to be in green. Mono green as a commander. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards. It's like a Gishath, but for a creature in a land. I'm trying to think how fun this is. It's any creature. 6/5. I don't know how fun this is. Like, it seems like it could be cool, but I don't know. As a commander, I'm going to put it kind of here with Galta. I want this and Galta in like my Minsk and Boo deck, but I don't know if I want these as their own commanders. But that's just me. You know, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Oh, wait, there are llamas in the art. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, sweet llamas. Anyways, next up is Ogier Pakpatic Deepest Epoch. Yeah, that's right. That's so wrong. I'm so sorry. It's a 4 mana 4/3 legendary creature, god flying. Whenever you cast an instant spell from your hand, it gains rebound. To exile it as it resolves at the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast it from exile without paying its mana cost. This is great in the Doctor Who decks. And then when it dies, you return it to the battlefield tapped to the land that taps for blue, obviously. And then when you tap it, you remove a time counter from it. Transform it with 3 time counters on it. Listen, reading the card explains the card. Of course, they changed it up on me. So you tap it to add a blue, and you remove a time counter from it. And then you can pay 2 and a blue, tap it to transform it, only if there's no time counters and only as a sorcery. This is an interesting... I actually kind of like this commander more than the other ones. I just like rebound as a mechanic. I think it's really interesting, especially with some of the new Doctor Who cards we've gotten. You could build like a cast from exile mono blue commander. I don't know if I'm going to put this higher than like fun though. Just because I can see people, at least in my play group, we're not going to rebound, expropriate, or like Psych Rift or anything like that. But you could do some real degenerate things with like extra turn spells. So yeah, I think this is fine. Next up is Ogier Tak, Deepest Foundation. Is a 6 mana 6/6 legendary creature god, Vigilance. 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control. 3 times that many tokens are created instead. When it dies, you'd return it as a land. It taps for white. You pay 2 and a white. Tap it, transform it. Activate only if you attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn and only as a sorcery. Pretty much the same conditions as everything else. I think this is actually a great budget commander. Hold on. This card is not going to be budget, but I think this makes a good budget commander for a few reasons. First, a lot of great token effects are pretty inexpensive, like mana-wise and dollar-wise. Think of like Raise the Alarm, where you're making, I think you're making 2 1/1s, so you make 6 1/1s with this for 2 mana. So you can take a lot of cheap cards and just build a powerful deck around cheap cards. The commander itself is probably going to be pretty expensive, but I have a feeling you could still make a $50 budget deck, assuming this card is under $50, including the cost of the commander. And I might try that. I'm going to put this under Want to Build. I've wanted a mono-white token deck, and while I could do Mondrak or there's some other one that I'm not remembering. It'll come to me. I like this a little bit more because it's only creature tokens, but it's so Smothering Tithe cards don't do great. But cards like Elspeth Sun's Champion, which I have, and I love that Planeswalker, will make me 9 1/1s. I'm in love. Next up is Pantlaza, Sun's Favored. It's a 5 mana 4/4 legendary creature dino. When it or another dino ETBs under your control, discover X, where X is that creature's toughness. Do this only once each turn. Yeah, this is that. I want to build this. That seems really fun. It's the Discovery dinos with toughness matters. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know what else to say. You just got to discover a whole bunch. Yeah, I'm here for that. Next up is Sahili, the Sun's Brilliance. It's a 2 mana 2/2 legendary creature, Human Artificer. You can pay a blue and a red, tap it, create a token that's a copy of another target creature or artifact you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste. Sack it at the beginning of the next end step. I don't know how fun this is. Actually, no, I love token stuff. I'm gonna put this under kind of top end of fun here. It's a cheap commander that comes down early, and it's only 2 mana to make a token copy of another target artifact or creature you control. You do have to sack it at the beginning of the next end step. However, you can do this on other people's turns. With Intruder Alarm, you can kind of go infinite. Well, I mean, with enough mana, you could just go infinite with like Mana Dorks and Intruder Alarm. We did it. We broke Intruder Alarm. And it's a sack trigger, not an exile trigger. Yeah, I'll put that under fun. It's a 2-minute Izzet commander that you get to make tokens of stuff. And it's you control, so you could actually do like an active treason deck with this, where you're taking people's creatures and making token copies of them, and then, yeah. Oh, that's actually really good, right? Because you can take someone's commander, make a token copy of their commander, sacrifice their commander to the legend rule, and then just sack your own commander. Or sack the token at the end step. This is also a great way to remove people's commanders. Just active treason their stuff, make token copies of it, and kill it. Boom, I broke it. We did it. All right, next card. Next up is Sovereign Oaknance Aha. Nope, that's wrong. 4 mana, 3/4 legendary creature Cat Noble with Ward 2. Whenever it attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of +1/+1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. I hate the wording on this card so much. However, I think it's good. So you want to buff your own creatures. So for each creature you control, power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the difference. So all of those like white and green anthems that are like 3 mana, just give stuff 1/1. Just load your deck up with those and just attack with this, and then Maze of Ith your commander, or just let your commander go through and put a bunch of counters on things. Sure, seems pretty fun. I'll put it like there. It's like a weird anthem deck. I kind of like it. Next up, what is this? Tetzin Gnome Champion. So it's Jeskai for a 2/2 legendary artifact creature gnome. Whenever it or another double-faced artifact enters the battlefield under your control, mill 3, you may put an artifact from among them into your hand. Okay. Then you craft with 6 artifacts and you pay 4. So you exile 6 other artifacts from your battlefield and or graveyard and pay 4 and exile this, and then it flips into the Golden Gear Colossus, which is a 6 mana, I'm sorry, not 6 mana, it's a 6/6 Vigilance Trample. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, transform up to 1 other double-faced artifact you control. Create 2 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature. Oh, that seems real fun. That seems like a fun Jeskai commander. That's a new take. I like that. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That's sick. All right. I'm going to build that. That's going on the list. Next up is the Ancient One. A 2 mana 8/8 legendary creature spirit god with Descend 8. It can't attack or block unless there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. In Commander, that's not going to be a hard thing to do. 2 blue black. Draw a card, discard a card. Then when you discard a card, this way target player mills cards equal to its mana value. I don't know how this is going to be in the 99 as the commander. If you want to do self mill, I think there are better commanders for it, and you can get access to more colors. Even though it's 2 mana, I'm going to put it under kind of fun. I'll put it at the tail end of fun. It's self mill. I like self mill. In the 99 though, this is great in like Mimeoplasm. You can put 8 counters on Mimeo, and it mills stuff, and it puts cards in your graveyard. Yeah, I like this. Next up is the Micco Tyrant. Not Micco Tyrant. It's a 3 mana legendary creature Elder Fungus, star trample. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards that you control that are fungi and or sapperlings. At the beginning of your end step, you create X 1/1 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block, where X is the number of times you've descended this turn, and each time a permanent card goes into your graveyard from anywhere, you descend. I really like this commander. Now this is going under want to build, I think, for me. So I like Golgari decks. I like that this makes tokens at the beginning of only your end step, and they can't block, which is great for limited, but I also think is really nice in Commander. I feel like when they can't block, I don't have to worry about blocks, so it's easier for me. This does go infinite. Well, Gravecrawler and Phyrexian Altar. Obviously, that goes infinite, but you do make infinite fungus at your end step with that. It's very important to note, tokens do not trigger Descent, because tokens are not cards. They might be a permanent, but they are not a card. So tokens going into your graveyard do not trigger this. So just be aware of that. All right, next up. Unb Ben, the Great Mistake. Why are they calling me a mistake? Get it? 'Cause my name's Ben. Anyways, I'm sick. It's fine. It's a 5 mana 6/4 legendary creature, skeleton horror, vigilance and menace. Descend 8. So if you have 8 or more cards in your graveyard, 8 or more permanents in your graveyard, you can pay 4 blue-black, return to the battlefield from your graveyard with a finality counter on it. No, I have no interest in this. Even in PEDH, I have no... This is whatever. It's Vigilance Menace. I guess it's Voltron. It doesn't do anything for me. Next up is Vito, Fanatic of Acotes. It's a 4 mana 4/4 legendary creature, vampire demon. Flying, whenever you sack another permanent, you gain 2 life if this is the first time this ability is resolved this turn. If it's the second time, each opponent loses 2 life. It's the third time you create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. It reminds me of like Omnath, kind of. Next card on the list is Waita, Trainer Prodigy. It's a 3 mana 1/5 legendary creature, human warrior with haste. 2 and a green, tap, target creature fights another target creature. This ability costs 2 less if it targets 2 creatures you control. Oh, so you can like force your commanders to fight? Not your commander, you can force your creatures to fight. If a creature you control being dealt damage causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Oh, that seems fun. Like a Fight Club commander. I don't know if I want to build that or not, but I'll put that under very fun. I've tried building fight decks before and like in Rage, and I just never quite found the mix I liked. But maybe I'll try it again. It could be cool. All right, next up is Xavier Sol, Infested Captain. It's a 3 mana 3/3 legendary creature, human fungus pirate. You can tap, remove a counter from another permanent you control, populate, activate only as a sorcery, or you can tap, sack another creature, proliferate, activate only as a sorcery. So this immediately goes infinite with like a Intruder Alarm and anything that puts counters on things when stuff ETBs. You make a token, it enters the battlefield, and Intruder Alarms tap them. It is sorcery speed, which is great. It feels like a Sultai Gave. I feel like you can go infinite with this with a ham sandwich. I'll put this under fun. It might be higher, but I feel like there's just too many things you can do with this, and I like a little bit more focused commanders. But let me know what jank things you can do, you want to try with this. I mean, maybe Sultai Energy? Although I guess we have the Fallout decks. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to put it in the middle of the fun. Next up is Axolotl Toak, the Smiling Flood. This is a 6 mana 6/6 legendary creature, Serpent Salamander. Salamander Serpent, technically. If anyone hurts this card, I will end you. This is the goodest boy. This is the second goodest boy in this set, okay? Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you put a flood counter on target land. That land is an island in addition to its other types for as long as it has a flood counter on it. At the beginning of your end step, untap each permanent you control with a counter on it. I don't know how fun this is, but you gotta put flood counters on stuff. You gotta put island, like give stuff island walk, or if you have stuff with island walk, make it unblockable. It's each permanent you control with just a counter on it, so it's like a Seedborn Muse effect. At the beginning of your end step, so it's not every upkeep, but at the end step, which is fine. Yeah, I like this. I'm gonna put this under fun. I don't know if it's very fun, but I like the art. It's really cute. I love it so much. All right, next up is Zoa Lava Tongue. It's a 2 mana goblin legendary creature warlock. That's so weird. It has Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, each opponent may discard a card or sack a permanent, and it deals 3 damage to each opponent who didn't. In regular commander, I think this is fine. Seems like it'd be kind of fun. It's a sack commander because you want, to sack, but you need to sack creatures or artifacts, not tokens. So, because remember, Descended doesn't, you don't descend if you sack permanent tokens. So, yeah, this is fine. I think this is great in the 99 of decks. I don't think you really need it as a commander. It doesn't seem that fun to me. And that's it for the tier list. Let me know your thoughts on which commander you're excited to build in the video description, in the comments down below. I really want to hear what commanders you guys want to build and what you want to see built. And remember, be on the lookout next week for my PDH video of this, where I go over all the Pauper commanders. And then I'll have some top 10s coming out and some deck lists and some combo videos, so just be on the lookout. Whole lot of content coming through once I start feeling a lot better. All right, see ya.